everyone. Welcome to Texas Rangers Daily. My name is Chris, usually with a positive C, but right now we are going to do a little bit of a more serious and somber topic. To start off the show, we need to go ahead and pay our respects to Scott Littlefield of the Texas Rangers, a famed and valued member of their scouting department of the past 16 years. This 34-year Major League Baseball vet was found dead in his hotel room over the weekend. And yes, everyone has been expressing their heartfelt condolences online and on the broadcast. It has been a tough time, I guarantee, for everyone over there in the Texas Rangers, organization, dealing with such a quick loss. He was only 59 years old. He's been with the team for 16 years, but he's been in Major League Baseball, a lot longer than that. He was a scout and other things for both the Pirates and the Braves. Comes from a baseball family and had a baseball family himself. He's survived by a son who is a scout for the Pirates and a daughter who is a scouting assistant for the Orioles. His brother Dave Littlefield was also the GM for the Pirates, and his brother Mike is the Yankees medical coordinator. So again, a lot of baseball history and tradition in the Littlefield family, and so a deep loss for Major League Baseball and a very, very deep loss for the Texas Rangers. So please send your condolences to all the friends and family and everyone involved in the Texas Rangers organization. But with that out of the way and that kind of standing on that kind of ceremony out of the way, welcome to Texas Rangers Daily. It is a Way Back Ranger Wednesday, and we're going to do Toby Harrah, the very first Rangers All-Star, a little bit later on in the show. We'll also be talking about the top 5 prospects from the beginning of the year to now. But first, we are going to debut a new segment, a segment that might appear a few different times here in Texas Rangers Daily, but definitely is going to appear during the off-season. It's called Sandler Says. It is where I talk to Texas Rangers broadcaster Jared Sandler, and we kind of share some ideas. So the whole idea behind this, speaking of ideas, is that I have questions that I have answers in my own head to, but I would like a valued opinion. And Jared Sandler knows a lot about baseball, knows a lot about this organization, and is very pragmatic in his answers. Unlike me sometimes, because I'm not a pragmatic person when it comes to baseball. Not yet. We'll see if that happens. So maybe talking to Jared more will have some pragmaticy come. I don't know if that's a term. Well, it'll come for me. But with Jared, he's been kind enough to lend his vocal talents to answering these questions. But I'm going to answer these questions too and let you know how I'm feeling, and then we're going to hear from Jared himself. So I asked him, does the team have the financial flexibility to be able to make the changes needed to the lineup without giving up pitching depth? And I personally, I don't know that answer because I'm not privy to the finances, information. But I do know that I believe that the Rangers can not flip a lot of this pitching depth and the young pitching that we have, and we'd still be able to find at least a couple of key pieces needed to change the fortunes of this team. The other question I had for him is whether or not, or what kind of different pieces need to be added to this lineup to change the fortunes. I believe that a lineup like this, and seems like Chris Young really likes the core from 2022 to stay around maybe for another year. We'll see if that happens. If he does, then I think that the middle of the order has to change in a way of adding a solidified slugging. This is not maybe he can. The ceiling is not the roof with him. This is a proven slugger, and so it protects Corey Seager. It protects who's ever behind him a lot. I need a slugger. I need somebody who is a feared, that pitchers think about, and that used to be Adolis, but Adolis is probably not going to be here. So it is not Adolis now. We have to find somebody to fill in that void. And I also believe at the bottom of the order needs somebody who is a run scoring and on base guy. I think that's where the Rangers are really lacking the turnover from the bottom of the order back to the top of the order with somebody who also is known for scoring runs. Last question I had for Jared, and the one I love answering myself, because I think we need to get rid of Merrill Kelly, Tyler Mahle, say goodbye. Is the third starter for next year on this team? I say no. I don't believe that Jack Leiter is ready yet. Here's the thing about Jack Leiter, though. Jack Leiter has a full offseason to be able to prove me wrong. And trust me, I like to be proven wrong when I say stuff. So if Jack Leiter proves me wrong and becomes what, we're hoping he could be, which is probably a number 3 starter in this rotation, considering who DeGrom and Evaldi are, that would be great. I still don't think he's there just yet, and I think that the Rangers need to look outside to find somebody who is going to back up the greatness of DeGrom and Evaldi. But let's hear from Jared Sandler himself and see what he has to say about all this and a little more.
I can't really answer the financial flexibility part. I don't know. I mean, that's something that really only ownership would know what their appetite will be, assuming the team ends up over the luxury tax. Are they willing to do that again? Is the luxury tax going to be a recommendation, or is it going to be a hard cap for them? So I don't know. I can't tell you, what the financial flexibility would be, unfortunately. My guess is it's not going to be large, but I don't know. Lineup modifications, they need to have a higher on-base floor. I think this lineup was built out with I shouldn't say too high of a slug. It was very slug-heavy, sacrificing on base with some of the decisions, but the slug didn't really materialize, and so without the slug, they didn't have much. So I think there needs to be a higher on-base floor. And then the other thing, I just need to see better approach. There just was a lack of approach, for too many guys in this lineup. And, not everyone can be Corey Seager, who's super aggressive. There's got to be more of an approach. They just weren't really tough outs very often. They were getting behind in counts consistently by swinging at pitches that weren't strikes, and it just seemed like they were lacking approach. Again, I don't know. I don't know if their number 3 is on the roster or not. I mean, I think that very well could be Jack Leiter. He sort of pitched like a guy who could be a number 3 next year, but I don't know. I mean, they're not going to pay Patrick Corbin. I don't think they're going to pay Tyler Mahle. I think they would be open to paying Merrill Kelly at the right price, but my guess is Merrill Kelly goes back to Arizona. I just don't see it happening. So I don't really know, what sort of move they could make, because I think that, that the trade market could be an area where they add someone, but my guess is they have 3 guys. I don't really love ranking the starters. To me, other than do you have an ace or not, it's not like the number 1 faces the number 1 on the other team to number 2. Just do you have your 5 or not? And I think right now they've got 3 guys who are for sure in their rotation, and DeGrom, Evaldi, Leiter. I think that there's a decent chance that Latz is in their rotation. Don't know about Rocker. I think there's a lot to be learned between now and mid-March, and then obviously they're going to have to make several moves to just establish enough depth.
Yeah, Jared had a lot to say. I really like the fact that he has a very different plan when it comes to what needs to change in this lineup. I really love the idea of the approaches are actually like one of the biggest things that needs to change besides personnel. That's a very good insight from a man like Jared Sandler, who's seen a lot of Ranger baseball over the past few years, but neither of us were around when our way back Ranger of the week was wrecking havoc here in Arlington. Toby Hara. Sometimes I can't remember where the actual things are, but here we go. Toby Hara is our way back Ranger of the week. And let's look at this right here. The good old career of Toby Hara. He is the very first Texas Rangers All-Star. He was the only All-Star for the team in the inaugural season in 1972. But he was just more than just the first All-Star that year. He was the first player to really kind of take the Rangers and put it on a semi-national level when it comes to actually being a legitimate franchise. He made the All-Star team 3 times with Texas, and so and he played for 11 seasons, so 3 out of 11 seasons, you're an all-star. Hit 257, 357, 389 slash line, 124 home runs, 700 plus walks, and less than 600 strikeouts. The guy was known for his eye at the plate. He was known for being a hard-nosed player, defense, speed, being rather athletic for a guy kind of his look. And so, Toby Hara became, to me, whenever I was a kid and I would hear about who he became what I've always thought a Texas Ranger should be. Kind of a lunch pail type player to a point, but still very underrated. Also, was the idea in my head of a true Texas Ranger. Somebody like Michael Young. Somebody who was very versatile. He was very versatile. Toby Hara played a bunch of different positions. But even though he played a bunch of different positions, sabermetrician Jay Jaffe has him as one of the top 25 third basemen of all time when it comes to the metrics. So, he's earned the right to be considered a great when it comes to the Rangers history and Major League Baseball history. He probably doesn't get as much credit because of how bad those Rangers teams were that he was on, but he still, made 3 All-Star teams. He had 2 2020 seasons. He had 3 in his career, 2 with the Rangers. Just a perfect example of how a team can foster such a groundswell and a ground level fan favorite, and how it can be they can be carried over for the rest of their career, even if they didn't reach the heights that maybe they could have. Because he was so good at the early ages of the Rangers, he will forever be locked into greatness when it comes to Texas Rangers history. Is he the Texas Ranger Hall of Fame? He sure is. And so I think we can call Toby Hara the first Texas Rangers great, and that's why he was a great subject for our way back Ranger of the week. And I've had a lot of fun here today on Texas Rangers Daily, and so we're gonna end in the fun right here with a little prospect talk. And one of the rules that we had, over here on the rules list was we're not going to over predict prospects. We're not gonna say, because, and when we get into the breakdowns of player by player of what I feel about this 2025 team, one of the players that we'll go over is Wyatt Langford. I have hated his comps. I've hated the fact it's Mike Trout and like Mickey Mantle. That's not fair for a guy to have comps of 2 of the greatest players of all time when he just got drafted a couple of years ago. I don't believe in comps like that, and I believe that comps like that sometimes ruin people's the perception of people's careers. I can't say it ruins their careers because we don't know how they're feeling about it for themselves. I think it ruins the perceptions of people's careers. So when we go over this top list, this is pretty much just saying, hey, this is where people think they are, but we have no idea what's going to happen. Because think about this. The top 5 prospects to begin the year for the Texas Rangers, 2 of them were in the major leagues, and one of them didn't move their spot. Another one moved up a spot. Another one dropped down all the way to the 11th. So at the beginning of the year, the top 5 prospects in the organization were Sebastian Walcott, Kumar Rocker, Jack Leiter, Malcolm Moore, and Winston Santos. It did not end like that. It ended with Sebastian Walcott still on top, which we'll discuss why he is a little bit in a second. Gavin Fiends, number 2, Jose Coronel, Winston Santos, 2 right-handed pitchers, 3 and 4, and then A.J. Russell, another right-handed pitcher, rounding out. Malcolm Moore dropped all the way down to 11th. All the way down to 11. This is why prospects are prospects. It's just we're prospecting like gold. We might find something, we might not. Because you have a guy like Kumar Rocker, the number 2 prospect last year, or at the beginning of this year, his pitching WAR as a major league player, negative 1.1, because he has got a 5.74 ERA, and he's giving up 1.5 home runs per 9 innings, which basically means the kid is giving up 2 home runs a game. Like, he's almost guaranteed to give up 2 dongs. That's not good because he's also allowing people on base, so it's not like he's just giving up solo shots. And then you have a guy like Jack Leiter, who was below him in the rankings, had a much better major league, first year. 3.92 ERA, it can be hit or miss on that. 225 opponents batting average, and he went 9-10. So he started a bunch the year. He continued to stay in the major leagues. He didn't really get the yo-yo that Rocker did. And Jack proved at different points in times that he could pitch in this league, and then a few different times it seemed like he needed to really take a step back. So we'll see what happens after his spring training. Sebastian Walcott, he's still the number one prospect. It's basically because he had the same exact year that he did last year. He batted .255, 13 home runs, and 59 RBIs. An okay season in the field. He had 24 errors. He's pretty much consistent with 24 errors, but he did have a minor league career high and 177 assists. So he's getting action over there in third base and shortstop. I believe that he can play that in major leagues, but we'll see. Again, we've been fooled before when it comes to the ability from stepping up from the minor leagues to the major leagues. It's all projection. Prospects are all projection, so we're projecting that Sebastian will still be really good. He's still really young. But Malcolm Moore, this is why he dropped from the 4th position all the way to the 11th, because he only hit 195 this year with a slugging percentage of 276. And my friends, I'll tell you, if you look at his college numbers, he was supposed to be a hitter. That was supposed to be one of the things that got him to the show, and it's failing him now. It's dropping and dropping and dropping. It's like college pitching is so different, I guess, than minor league pitching, so different than major league pitching, that you cannot count on college numbers to really be a barometer of success, because if you look at his college numbers, the guy was a hitter. As soon as he's gotten here, it seems like either something's wrong with his mechanics that the developers in the minor leagues are not able to fix, or he's just not great. But I believe in this kid right here. I believe Sebastian Walcott, as you see him, he's dressed in the Futures game, attire. I believe that he will be at least a serviceable Major League Baseball player. I could be wrong, though. Let me know if I'm wrong down in the comments. Like, subscribe. Thank you to Fan Arch. I'm Chris with a positive C. Join us tomorrow with more Texas Rangers Daily. The Rangers are playing right now, I believe, while I'm filming this, so I gotta make sure I catch the end of that. But I do watch the Rangers on Rangers Sports Network, so I watch them every morning anyway, even if I miss the game before that night. Monowia, stay gold, Pony Boy, and I'll see you tomorrow.